enough. Our guest now, Dr. Brian Sheets of Ultimate Solutions Wellness Facility in Darien, is here to point out some practical information that may help you decide what foods to buy. Thanks for being here, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
One thing I like about this study is it makes it seem like it's okay if a certain fruit or vegetable is on sale to buy it, even if it's not organic.
That's a good point. And, you know, it means we've been a little safer than we were concerned. But what's nice to know is not all vegetables are created equal, so to speak. That's the same with fruits. A simple rule so people don't have to get too bogged down in the grocery store. If it takes a lot of peeling to get to the meat of whatever it is, you're in good shape. This is corn season. To be able to shuck corn, you're shucking away the pesticides. When you peel an orange, you do the same. But thin-skinned things like grapes, like all the red berries, all those berries that are loaded with antioxidants, we either want to wash those very well, or that's a perfect example when someone should go organic.
So you're saying, and this would include apples.
Apples are absolutely one.
Thin-skinned produce.
Correct.
You need to really consider organic because those are the ones. Are you saying the pesticides permeate the skin?
They permeate the skin, and they stay in the skin even. And the skin is so loaded with some of the antioxidants and vitamins. We want to eat the skin on an apple, for example. But other green leafy things you need a little more training to hear about. Lettuce is different than cabbage. Lettuce, kale, all the green leafies, spinach, everybody should be eating spinach. Those have to be either very well washed or very good at buying as organic.
Okay.
But different, broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, eggplant, those are things that we think two things happen. The pesticides either don't absorb as much that we have to worry. It seems the bugs don't like them, so the industry understands they don't have to hit them so hard with pesticides.
That's interesting. So there are certain produce items that aren't exposed to as many pesticides.
That's right, that's right.
And that's funny because broccoli, you and I were talking earlier,
That's right.
You would think that was a sponge for
You'd
pesticides.
think it would soak everything up.
Yeah.
Turns out it doesn't. And just as I've said, the bugs don't seem to bother them as much, so the industry is known. The cauliflowers, asparagus, broccoli, those are a few on that list. You don't have to worry. So avocado is another great example of, you know, it's loaded with good things, but everybody peels them. We don't need to peel to an avocado, so not necessarily having to get organic.
Let's say,
avocados.
and we're getting really nitty-gritty, but this is the kind of information I want to get to our viewers. They buy apples that are on sale.
Right.
Is it better to just peel them rather than scrubbing and hoping for the best?
If they peel them, they are going to remove the pesticides almost completely. That's a fact. It just seems a shame that that they'd have to lose the vitamins. But one of the other things that's been proven is there are many very good sprays out there that at least attract people to the consciousness of washing the fruit. But about 1 part vinegar, 2 part water, 30 seconds of a quick wash really does most of that for people.
So the vinegar is a way to get rid of the pesticides versus some
acidic.
people say scrub the apples with soap, and the whole idea of it just makes me lose my appetite.
And soap would be too easily absorbed into the layer of the skin, and we'd end up eating that, and we don't want that.
Now, when you clean lettuce, do you get rid of the pesticides?
Almost completely. One of the things most people will say is still peel off the loose ones on the edge. Rinse at least, again, the 30 seconds. Okay? But if we're going to make a list, and I think we should be conscious, lettuce is one of the, technically an herb, that really ought to be bought organic if you have the opportunity. But again, since it's so it's more expensive, sometimes double the price, half again the price, to be able to understand which ones you don't have to bother with and which ones are a real good idea, makes it easier on about every consumer.
So if you're saving money and you're not buying organic, go ahead. The broccoli's pretty safe. Wash it well.
Yes.
And the fruits that have thicker skins.
Correct. And we can think of those. If it takes work to peel at a pineapple, nobody eats the outside of that. That's not a problem. Melons, we're eating the inside. Those don't have to be bought organic.
Where do you stand on organic milk versus not? Because there again, the price is so different.
Price. It's like buying a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
What it turns out is, and this is a great question, although it's very important to understand that the pasteurization and cleaning, if you will, of the milk turns out washes away antibiotics to some degree, but not all, hormones, pesticides, not completely, but to a great help. It seems to break down the omega-3 fatty acids that we want to get. So one of the great things that we've just in recent years we've learned is good for the brain, good for the eyes of any age group. That's another example where organic might be better.
Organic. Not just because of pesticides, but because of the hormones.
The hormones, the antibiotics. Antibiotics are tricky when you look at the organic pork. When you look at the organic chicken, it turns out that the antibiotics that they find, when you compare those two organic meats with the conventionally bought ones, it turns out, it gets a little technical, the antibiotics that they've been using, we've all heard that many organisms will fight back on antibiotics.
Right,
so
and get stronger.
Correct. So it turns out, when you culture out the organisms that can be in conventional pork, conventional chicken, they are 3 times as likely to be resistant to antibiotics. Now that's nitpicking, but it's another good reason to buy organic when it comes to chicken and pork.
And does that mean free range, or is there such a thing as organic but not necessarily free range?
Absolutely a difference.
Okay,
Absolutely
because again, the price changes, you know?
It does, it does. Organic has to have a seal that's a green and white seal. This is a federal government seal. It's mandatory that they meet the standards. If they put the seal on there, whether they choose to put the seal on or not is up to the company. Important to know also, though, that seafood can't be monitored, so there's no such thing as organic seafood.
Right, that's true.
You can have farm-fed, and there is more control is the best we can do.
Okay, good to know. One last question, we're going to a break. They say there aren't any long-term studies on pesticides. As a doctor,
Right.
Do you think we need to be conscious about steering clear of them, or don't worry about it?
We're finding that the study that we've been talking about here today shows that although when it came to adults, they weren't finding excessive, and the numbers game played, amounts of pesticides in tears, in breast milk, and so forth. It is found in the urine of children that are having more conventional than organic. More pesticides are detected in the urine in children that are having conventional versus organic.
And you find that concerning?
It could be one day.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Brian
Thank you.
Sheets.